Hello and welcome to the Unhinged Binge, where I, a coffee-addicted nerd, talk about the best genre of film ever, horror, and we will explore it together. Sometimes one film at a time, sometimes a lot of films at once. Who knows? It's unhinged. We don't do it with logic, baby. We do it weird. I'm joined here with my buddy Curt. Hello, Curt.
Hello. Thanks for having me on again. This is like the highlight of my every other week, so looking forward to it.
It's Friday the 13th.
Of course.
Chapter 4, part 4, the final chapter, or sometimes Friday the 13th, the final chapter. People go back and forth on whether or not the part 4 is actually part of the title.
It wasn't on Max when I watched it last night, so.
I don't know. I think it's just, I've just always known it as part 4, the final chapter, but I don't think it's actually called that. It's just so many people call it that. You know, it's like
everywhere I look, it just says the final chapter. So yeah, I don't know.
But if you talk to people,
right,
they might say part 4. It's like a Mandela effect thing, I think, or maybe we just like to do that. I don't know, because I think the first 4 really fit in well together.
Definitely.
And then once you go after that, it's a little bit of a different story.
Right.
So I think that's just a way to kind of like keep those 4 like. You're just relating them together, I guess.
Yeah, well, because 2 and 3 were called part 2 and part 3, so it only makes sense.
And then 5 is going to diverge a bit, but not quite, but a bit. Okay, so as I said, Friday the 13th, we're here to talk Jason Voorhees. Man, I love this one. So this is your first time watching it, just off the bat. Initial response.
Yeah, it's easily my favorite of the 4 so far. I enjoyed it a lot. I think Tom Savini coming back, you could definitely tell the effects were great, the kills were great, and there's some fun casting as well. So yeah, I really did enjoy this one.
Yes, definitely some fun casting. So this one was released, they did it right, April 13th of 1984, and this one takes place in 1984. Finally, the stars have aligned.
Yeah. I don't know why they did that with the timeline, but they're finally caught up now.
It's gonna get more funky, Curt.
Oh boy.
From here, there are no rails.
Oh geez.
No rails at all. It's directed by Joseph Zito, who did The Prowler. Are you familiar with The Prowler?
I'm not.
He also did a lot of canon films, specifically some with Chuck Norris, like Missing in Action and Invasion USA. You a Chuck Norris fan?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. Well, Invasion USA, in terms of like Chuck Norris, is going to be up there to me with like a Silent Rage. It's not like anything he did with Bruce Lee. That's
right.
Can't really touch that. That was his peak, and unfortunately, he did that at the beginning of his career. But hey, they're going to sail on those wings. Those are some wings to sail on. Is that an expression? I think I was thinking of something else.
I don't know, but I like it.
Those are the words that came out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna like go off of one thing in your career and just sail on that. Yeah, I'm gonna stop.
I totally get you. I get you.
The effects, they brought back Tom Savini. He came back to do this one after having done the first one because he was told that this was the final chapter. They're killing Jason. So he agreed to come back and do the effects, and these effects are great.
They're so good.
They're so good.
I noticed it like right away too, the difference.
It had a supposed budget, hard to tell, of about 2.2 million, maybe 2.6 million. I've seen different sites say different things, and it made about 33 million in the box office. So definitely made quite a bit. Had a bit of a bang. And in terms of the cast, yeah, you said it. You have a young Corey Feldman. I think he was like 11 or 12 when he was in this. Crispin Glover, man, he plays Jimmy. I love Jimmy.
So the first thing I noticed with this one is when I'm looking at the credits. Well, the first thing is I'm like, damn, I kind of missed the part 3 funky music. But aside from that, the other thing I noticed was, there's actually people in this that I recognize. Corey Feldman, Crispin Glover.
Did you recognize anyone else?
No, I don't think so. Should I?
Okay. Well, I don't think so. There are other people in it. So we have Eric Anderson, who played Rob. He was also in Missing in Action with the same director, which I'm pretty sure came out in 1984 as well, maybe 1983. So they had just worked together. So Peter Barton, I don't think you would recognize. But
Nope.
he's in a movie I like called Hell Night. He was also he played Doug.
Oh, Doug. Okay, yeah.
He's the like the very has the very defined jawline.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know which guy you're talking about.
yeah. He was in a soap opera. He was in this like late 70s TV show. I don't know how popular it was. And then Paul's I think he looks like a different actor that I recognize. But when I was staring at him, I looked him up. He's in Neon Maniacs, another 80s horror movie. But it's Axel. It's Axel, Bruce Mahler, the mortician guy.
Oh, the
He's in a
creep.
bunch
Yeah.
of Police Academy movies. He's in the first Police Academy movie, the second, the third. Sadly, he's not in 4, the best one, Citizens on Patrol. He was not in 5, but he did come back for 6, City Under Siege.
Well, I've never seen those, so that's probably why I didn't recognize him. Sorry.
That's sad for you. That is
Yeah.
sad for you. That's a tragedy. And then Jason is portrayed by Ted White. This is my personal favorite Jason.
I liked him a lot. Yeah.
No offense to Kane Hodder, but I think Ted White does a phenomenal job. I think he was the oldest person to portray Jason, but this is
interesting.
Fast, brutal, fuck you.
And Jason. I love that. Yeah, I love running Jason.
He was like a career stuntman. He was probably the most veteran person on the set. We'll talk a little bit more about him as we get into the breakdown, but
okay.
Yeah, he seemed like kind of a hard ass, but like in a way that you would appreciate. He took his job very seriously, but he was really, really good to the actors he was killing on set, which I like.
That's good.
like.
Yeah, that's good.
And I just think he did a really good job playing Jason. I wish we had that kind of intensity. I really don't feel like. I mean, Kane Hodder definitely plays him intense, but I go Ted Knight, Jason Mears, and Kane Hodder.
Yeah, actually, I can't give my opinion on that yet because I have yet to see Kane Hodder at all. So. All right, but I like the one in. What's that?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like the one in the remake though, and this one.
Yeah, that was Garrick Mears in the remake.
Garrick Mears, yep.
Okay, so the tagline for this one reads, "If Jason still haunts you, you're not alone." I don't know what that means, but okay.
Your reading of taglines is so enjoyable. I love whenever you do that.
So as I said, this one does pick up where we left off. So I want to just to keep the kill count. Since we were counting the one woman who was pregnant. We did count that as 2 kills. So right now, the kill count for 1984, this 1 week, stands at 21 thus far. So let's get into this.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This movie opens with my man Paul Holt. Oh, I love Paul Holt.
Yep.
I love it is archive footage of part 2 where he's telling that campfire story. By the way, this was like 2 days ago. He's telling his campfire story with interspliced footage from various scenes from part 1 to part 2 to part 3 to kind of show like how these films are connected. I like how it feels like it does feel like we're in a part 4. Like it feels like this is very connected. I enjoy that.
So this is easily my favorite of the recaps so far. I like this way better than like showing the entire last 10 minutes of the previous movie. Instead, we get more Paul Holt, which is always great. Love that campfire story, and then it like shows footage from the first 3. So it kind of feels like a season finale almost, where it's like previously on, and it shows a little bit from the entire season up until this point. So I thought that was cool.
Play a song from Kansas. It's great. Yeah. That's a supernatural reference. You didn't get it. It's fine.
Nope.
Someone out there is going to appreciate it.
I'm sure they will.
So we cut to credits, and this time we get a zoom in on the hockey mask, which explodes to. I'm not really great at describing music. I described it as like this kind of like fast-paced, intense. Harry Manfredini like took his score and he just made it more like in your face.
Sure. Yeah, that works. Not as good as the part 3 funky music.
Yeah, it's no part 3. It's no part 3. He's not going to improve on part 3. I think he knew that, so he went with something different. He's like, I can't outdo that. That is the peak of my career. I'll do something else.
Understandable.
Okay, so we're picking up where part 3 left off with, I felt like a very impressive, if not kind of abrupt, like tracking shot from a helicopter. And you could tell, like, just in this one shot alone, that they're really like bringing in production value. Like they got many this time.
Yeah,
and we have
for
like
sure.
more sweeping shots, and we're a bit pulled back, and we're getting like long shots of like all these police and ambulance and all this stuff at
Does this have
Higgins
the highest
Haven.
budget so far of the 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
You could feel it while you're watching the movie.
it's around the same as the last one,
Oh, really?
but
Okay.
not
Interesting.
much more, but a bit more maybe. But yeah, so we're picking up at Higgins Haven, and we're collecting the bodies. We're collecting the bodies. I also do think it's a little weird that I'm just going to call them Crystal Lake PD. I don't know if that's what they actually are.
Sure, that
That's
works.
what I'm naming them, Crystal Lake PD. Doesn't feel like they have a helicopter budget, but I'm going to go with it. I'll accept it. We'll continue. But now I'm thinking like maybe I've seen like the lowest budget movies, like Sharks of the Corn had a helicopter. So I'm assuming maybe helicopters aren't as expensive as I think they are. Now I'm doubting everything.
I would think that they are, but who knows, I guess.
The fuel at least. Anyway, so part 2, part 3, part 4, all taking place in 1984. I did my best to keep track of like what day we're on, but the fandom wiki is different than mine, so I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, I'm off by a day.
Close enough.
But it's rough.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes. I would love to see like Crystal Lake Police Department of like on Wednesday, the 18th. Like, what's going on? Like, how are your guys' day going? Because it seems like you are just eating donuts and doing nothing while like a lot of people got murdered. People are going to be making phone calls. Who's ever sheriff now? You're not going to be sheriff by Friday.
Yeah, the fact that all this happened within a few days is crazy. Like that should not happen. So
yeah. Okay, so the cops are loading the bodies from Higgins Haven into the ambulances, and we see Jason himself is being tagged and bagged and zipped up himself. Also, his axe is being bagged. Tragic. Just tragic. Maybe not tragic. Maybe it's funny. I don't know.
It's kind of funny.
Moving right along. So dead Jason is taken to Wexus County Medical Morgue, or that's what the reporter called it on the news when that was being broadcast. So that's what I wrote down because notes. I don't know what it is about showing morticians being pervs and eating around dead bodies, but almost every movie who has a mortician does it. It's very strange.
It's a weird trope. This guy, what's his name again? Axel?
Axel.
Total creep. Like the first thing I thought was, oh, this guy better die a brutal death. And then secondly, what's the nurse's name? The chick?
Morgan.
Okay, yeah. And my second thought was like, why does she like this guy? Who knows? But
I have no idea. But it was really giving Nurse Karen and Bud from Halloween 2.
Oh, I've seen it, but it's been a long time, so I don't really get that reference.
Oh, okay. Well, someone does out there in the universe, definitely. And they're laughing. But thankfully, this movie is not going to be about him chasing the previous final girl, poor Chrissy, around the hospital. Jason leaves the hospital, but not before killing Axel in what I felt like was a phenomenal opening kill. I mean, you want to open your movie with just a full-on, like he grabs him by the hair and the head. He does this lot. This is like Jason's kill move. He loves grabbing people by the head and then inserting something into them. But it takes what I think is a bone saw. And it's actually really funny that I heard someone else say this, and then I double checked, and it's true. He doesn't actually move the saw. The guy moves his head. So it looks like the saw is moving, but it's actually not. And what they do is they just turn the guy around.
Huh.
And so like they started with him with his when they do the second shot, he's actually sitting backwards with his clothes on back, or he's sitting forward with his clothes on backwards. So they just turn it around. Yeah, it's really effective. It's like a full 1/8. Like you could have just slit his throat and that would have been done. You would have killed him. But to then turn his head 180 degrees around like he's freaking Reagan from The Exorcist, hilarious and gross.
Yeah, it was seamless. I didn't notice any of the trickery at all. And once again, you notice right away that Tom Savini is back. I mean, those effects are great. And this was a gnarly kill. It was a really good opening kill. And it's one of many throughout the movie that I kind of went like, oh, wow. Like that was gnarly.
Yes, agreed. So then poor Nurse Morgan is killed. I didn't feel like she deserved it, but
I agree.
this is what happens. She gets lifted like completely off the ground, and then he stabs her and then like essentially guts her. I don't know if there's a better word for that. I'm not a hunter person, but when you go from like just slice all the way down the abdominal area.
Yeah, that's gutting, I think.
Maybe that way. I don't know. He's going hot dog style on hamburger style. You get what I'm saying? And she gets real dead. It's I don't know. Poor her. That seems unfortunate. And after being with gross Axel, not how you want to go, not what you want your last moves to be.
Yeah, agreed. That's really unfortunate.
But also, a good kill. And I don't know if you noticed that a lot of the kills, they're very fast. It's like he's there, he pops up out of nowhere, kills them, cuts away very quickly.
I did notice that.
For a reason.
Yep.
And we'll get to that reason at the end.
Okay.
If you think the reason is because they wanted an R rating, you'd be right. So we cut to the next day, so I'm pretty sure that happened the same night, right? So that this should be Sunday the 15th, I think.
Sure.
I think. But it might be Monday the 16th. It's confusing. Anyway, we cut to a mother and daughter jogging. I don't think we caught the mother's name, but the daughter is Trish.
I don't think so either.
16. Yeah. This one is straight up 28 years old. I'm older than 28, but I feel like I look younger than her. Like this is a woman.
Yeah, I'm almost 28, and I don't know. I feel like I look younger too, but
yes,
people always make fun of me for looking young. So
plus,
yeah.
And they go back home where I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be 12. Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman, and named Tommy after Tom Savini, who likes making masks and playing video games. I thought it was really fun. But clearly he's very smart. And I love that he's playing video games with his mask on. As if anyone could ever play a video game with a mask on. Like in this world, they're really showing you you can totally see through these holes. Like this is monster.
There's no way you'd be able to do that. No chance.
But also it's important to note that the mom tells him to get a haircut. Foreshadowing.
Yes. Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's great foreshadowing.
But it is. And we learned that the place next door, I feel like it should have like, I don't know, the Higgins house, or well, obviously it wouldn't be the Higgins house, but the Harold's house. It should be, I don't know. I wish it wasn't the place next door. I wish we got a little bit more mythos for the town. But we learned it's being rented by 6 kids. And I hate when we have teenagers in movies referring to other teenagers as kids. It's very strange.
Nobody does that in real life.
Kids.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't. I would say like 6 teens or 6 high schoolers. I'm
teenagers.
not even sure if they're supposed to be high school or college.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So we have Paul and Samantha who are in a relationship. We have Doug and Sarah who hook up. And then we have Ted and Jimmy. Jimmy is Crispin Glover.
Yes.
I hate Ted. I hate Ted so much. I like Sarah and Samantha. Paul and Doug are so irrelevant. And I don't know why. Samantha and Sarah are easily confusable, I think. Why give them both S names? It keeps it even worse when we actually bring in real life identical twins. I'm like, come on, guys, do better.
I loved Crispin Glover's inclusion in this movie, and I feel like I forgot about it already, even though we just talked about it, I think, last time we did this. But and so I saw him in the opening credits. I'm like, oh, this is the one where he does the dance, because people talk about the dance all the time. Like, I've heard about it for years. And we'll get to that.
I don't care what anybody says. Screw that Magic Mike guy. I don't remember his name.
Channing Tatum?
Yeah, that's the one. Tater Tots. Screw that dude. Crispin Glover, best dance in cinema.
Oh, the dance was great. It delivered. I had heard about it for years, and it exceeded expectations.
So
But
fantastic.
also, I was going to say, prior to this, the only thing I had seen Crispin Glover in
Back to the
is the
Future.
Back to the Future. So, and I just rewatched that trilogy very recently.
Well, he's only in the first one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, and like, well, I guess there's a little bit of
Iconic.
footage of him in the second. There was a whole thing about that. Yeah. So that's all I had seen him in, and I can never think of him as anyone else besides
Oh my
George
God, you've
McFly.
never seen the Charlie's Angel movies?
Nope.
Oh man, that is so specific to its era. Like very early 2000s movie. And I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but if you watch it, you'll be like,
Well, like,
oh, I see.
is it like the live action Scooby Doo type of early 2000s?
I don't know. It's just some movies you watch, you can be like, oh, I can tell exactly when this was made.
Sure, I totally get what you're saying, but yeah, I haven't seen any Charlie's Angels, so
I mean,
yeah.
those are the only ones I recommend.
Okay.
Maybe that's mean. I mean, obviously they were very popular,
Right.
but
Yeah.
those are the ones I recommend. I like a Willard. I don't think it's popular, but I like a Willard.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, we cut to, the 6 teens, not kids, teens, hanging out in the car. Jimmy and Ted are in the back talking about sex. We learn here Ted is a perv and Jimmy is a sweetie, and that is maintained throughout the rest of the film. Jimmy, to me, is like if Ducky from Pretty in Pink was in a horror movie. That's how I felt about him.
I haven't seen that either. So.
Jesus Christ. What is happening right
Lego,
now?
there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. Sorry.
Apparently.
Yeah. Is it Ted? Ted's the other guy, right?
Yes. I hate
him. He sucks. And look, I've known people like that in real life.
Absolutely.
They're the worst. Never listen to guys like that.
No, don't. And what's good is Jimmy doesn't, and he does hook up with the girl
right
that Ted couldn't.
Yep.
And to that I say, bravo.
Yep.
You deserved that. But I do like, I'm so wrong for this. I do like the line that he's a dead fuck. Like it's kind of funny, and it's so dumb that it's a running gag.
It is kind of funny.
Well, actually, we'll get to that later. So teens pass what I'm labeling a granola lesbian who's hitchhiking. I'm pretty sure I have that same outfit as her. And we get another kill. Jason kills her, which, you know what? Jason's a homophobe. Confirmed. Yep. I was pretty sad about it because I felt like, let this hitchhiker just get to Canada. She just wants some love and peace. I don't understand the point of her. It was giving the Cheech and Chong characters like Chili and whatever from the last movie. Who are these people?
The fucking 50-year-old guy. Yeah. I can't remember.
Who are these people? And she gets I'm assuming it's a knife in the back of her throat. Again, Jason like just pops up out of nowhere very abruptly, grabs the top of her head or her hair, and just like runs a knife straight through her throat, which Tom Savini obviously loves doing that gag.
And he's really good at it.
He is, and it's broad daylight.
Yep.
We watched the whole thing in camera, very well lit, minimal cuts. Like it's a good.
Yeah, really impressive.
All right, so we have 3 kills so far, and now we're gonna get a lot of, I don't know, movie, I guess. So how did you feel about the dog Gordon? Because the Jarvises have a dog, Gordon.
Well,
I have many questions about Gordon. First of all, the name.
I mean, how much are we going to say about the dog until later?
I'm going to talk about them all right now. I'm concerned. They just let this dog roam around the woods. Okay, I don't know about that. Then he like knocks on the door. Like he just comes home and knocks on the door. What kind of dog is this?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind, obviously, I'm sure it was yours too, the first time you watched it, was they better not kill this damn dog because
I don't know if he lived or died.
Yeah, I was very confused. Do you want to just talk about that?
Because he dives out of a 2nd-story window towards the end of the movie.
What the hell was that? I
don't know.
I don't understand the point of it. I don't know if he survived.
I think a lot of people thought Jason threw him.
No,
but I
he just jumped.
I've seen a lot of different, I even like specifically like looked it up, and no, he doesn't kill Gordon. Gordon just, what dog has ever dove through a 2nd-story window?
That made absolutely no sense.
0 sense.
I hope that he's alive because that would make me feel much better.
There's no confirmation, but what happened?
Yeah.
Every follow-up question.
That was super. I think while I was watching it, I said out loud to myself, "What the fuck was that?"
So my thing is, I don't know, but it seemed to me someone on this film really must have some sort of like, because I don't like, they have some sort of glass budget. Like but they must have like an in with a glass guy. They broke 7 panes of glass in this movie. They kept breaking windows. They broke the shower, which was a glass shower door.
Right.
Like Jason keeps bursting through windows and breaking windows. Like 6 windows plus the shower door were all shattered. Like
I did notice that there was a lot of broken glass in this one. And if they had to do it that many times, don't do it with a dog. Just find another way to do it.
I just don't understand what's happening with a dog.
Very strange.
I think this is before, filmmakers realized that people like dogs and we don't want to see them die. So if you're going to listen, I'm a big fan of Does the Dog Die? Oh my gosh, hard to say. DoesTheDogDie.com. I definitely will stop a movie and go there in the middle of it if I'm like, oh, I need to know now. So I guess they just didn't think that people would care about the fate of the animal, but it's like, that's all people are going to care about. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. That was so weird. Don't get it at all.
I guess we'll move on from poor
Aside
Gordon.
from that, though, just the dog in general, I don't know. Yeah, I liked him. I like all dogs. So, and also there was a funny line.
Pointless for the movie?
What's that?
Kind of pointless in the movie.
Yeah, kind of. But there was a funny line that Tommy said, like during the skinny dipping scene. I think Tommy said it. He's like, "Come on, Gordon, you're too young for this." I thought that was really funny.
I thought that was pretty funny too. I do tell my dog that.
Really?
Yeah, when she was a puppy, because I sit on the floor a lot, like especially when I have a puppy, like I'll sit on the floor with the dog.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dog's a lot on the furniture. I'm not one of those people, but like,
Yeah, same here. Yep.
A lot of times the dog will just sit on the floor. So I usually sit on the floor with him, and I read a lot. So a lot of times I just like to stretch out on the floor on a blanket or something. Anyway, one day I had my coffee because I always have coffee, and my puppy put her little little snout in my coffee mug and took a sip and like picked her up. I'm like, no, you're too young.
I mean, yeah, my dogs always sit on the couch with me, and sometimes, to be honest, when I'm like watching a sex scene or something, I'm like, look away, guys.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that per se. I've had a friend do that when I was watching a movie with him. We were watching The Witch or The Witch. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a sex scene, but it was just like every time Black Phillip came on screen, apparently he's terrified of goats. So every time it came on screen, he would cover both of them.
To be fair, Black Phillip is creepy as hell.
Black Phillip is utterly terrifying, but I kind of love him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was watching a different movie, you've seen it, When Evil Lurks.
Oh, sure.
That goat was possessed. I'm like, oh my God.
Yep, I thought of that too.
Every time I see a goat in a movie now, I'm like, oh, Black Phillip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what you want, though. You want you want to have something in a film that's so iconic that it becomes like culturally ubiquitous.
When I was a little kid, I think 2, I got ran over by a goat at a petting zoo. That like traumatized me for life. Maybe that's the way I am now.
Goats are mean, though.
They are.
So are ducks.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot of animals that like. The thing about wild animals is, I'm just going to underline the word wild.
Wild. Yep.
Okay, so back to the movie. Back to the plot, as you would. So the teens finally arrive at their rented house. Poor Jimmy, still trying to get over this breakup he has with this girl Betty,
mm-hmm.
and he's trying to be a real human being and like move on. And sadly, he keeps looking for Ted for help.
Don't go to Ted for help.
Maybe if he went to Doug for help,
that would have been much better.
Help.
Yep.
Sarah basically calls Samantha a slut, and I just gotta pause it right here. I'm so glad I kept on top of like who was who in this movie. I felt so proud of myself. I even figured out the difference between the twins.
I noticed that in your notes. You did a really good job with that. Bravo.
I'm like, pat on the back. This never happens. I can't even remember the names of any characters in the previous movies.
Right.
Except for Paul Holt.
Yes, of course. Never forget Paul Holt.
That's what's important. I even had to look up. I'm like, who was that asshole I didn't like in the last movie? Yeah, Rick. Fuck Rick.
Wait, who's Rick again?
he was the asshole in the last movie. He's like,
Oh.
I can only take so many cold showers.
Oh, yeah.
Rick.
Okay, fuck
He
that guy.
did, and he did.
Yep.
Anyway, so Sarah basically calls Samantha a slut because she's had a bad reputation since she's had a reputation, should I say, since she was in 6th grade. But she said the only person she's actually ever slept with is Paul. But it's good to have a reputation because that would keep someone around, which is so sad. And Sarah is, clearly the virgin of the movie. Well, Jim is too.
Yes.
But we have a lot of teens who are, like, listen, you're out camping, you don't have any parental supervision, things happen.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's natural. It's normal. Go off. However, this movie is very strange. And I literally wrote, a man wrote this.
Yeah,
because
I saw that.
The women in this movie, or the girls, I should say, are they're like the sexually aggressive ones.
Right.
Which is, that's not unrealistic, but to have the men not be at all, except for Ted, who seems like the worst kind of guy, is just very unrealistic.
Hated that.
Oh my god. Anyway, we'll move on. She seems very happy that she's going to be rooming with Doug, and later on they will have relations. Although I do think it's funny that they have bunk beds.
Yeah.
And that turns into I thought it was a pretty good line that she used on him. Like, you should sleep on the bottom bunk. He's like, oh, you want to sleep on the top? No.
That was good. Yep, that was a good move. I like those two. They seemed nice and they were cute together.
Like, those two seemed very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that I really wish that Jim had got with Terry because they seemed good, but he went off with her sister, Tina, which was unfortunate.
Yeah. But at least it pissed off Ted, so.
Bare minimum. Minimum. But it was good to see.
Yep.
I thought. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But I don't know, because I really liked Samantha, but Paul just did not treat her right. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, this is the lesser of the Pauls so far in this franchise, for sure.
Definitely. So Samantha goes upstairs to get undressed, and Paul joins her. Tommy is a little peeping Tommy, apparently. Mm-hmm. And he's watching them, and I don't know what it is up with their mother, but she keeps like looking out the window, like at her kids, at the teens, and she just seems very disapproving. And I'm just going to throw this in now. She gets killed off screen, I think. It's not confirmed.
The mom gets killed off? Yeah, I think so.
But it's not confirmed. We don't see her body. I don't know why. It just kind of happens. She just seems startled and dies off screen. It's later on in the movie, but it's just so abrupt and kind of pointless. I feel like Trish or Tommy should have found her. I don't know why that didn't happen.
Yeah, it is a bit weird that we didn't see the kill or the body, because usually we see at least one of the two.
Yeah.
So
anyway, then we cut to the next day, which is either Monday the 16th or Tuesday the 17th, which is one of my favorite episodes of Psych, and Psych is a great show.
Okay.
Which is that episode actually parodies not only Friday the 13th, but also April Fool's Day. I'm going to stop talking. You get none of my references.
Sorry.
I wrote did you read my notes?
I did.
My notes. Oh, great reference to Paradise by the Dashboard Light and a Paul Ruzzo reference. That's a deep cut. Nope. All right. Now
Nothing.
I'm just gonna move on.
I'm so sorry,
Meatloaf?
Nothing.
Jeez. Someone out there is out there going, yeah, this chick knows shit.
I'm so sorry, bud.
I am gonna. Do you know the song Paradise by the Dashboard Light?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's like literally my favorite song.
Well, now I definitely got to listen to it.
I'm just gonna move on. We're on Monday the 16th or Tuesday the 17th. So Jimmy's gone completely 180, just like Axel's head. You know what? It's funny that his name's Axel. I just got it. Anyway, moving on, because Axel's okay. Anyway.
Nope. I still don't get it.
And like your car, that's how the wheels roll, because they're on an axle.
So what?
Spins.
Okay, yeah, but what does that have to do with?
Spun.
Oh, okay, got it.
We really had to work to get there.
Yeah.
It was not earned. Okay, it wasn't that good of a joke. I'm just gonna move on. I keep saying that.
It was a great joke. I'm just dumb.
It was not. It was sad. I need the drop whistle, the wah wah wah. Or the sad Titanic music. as the camera drifts slowly closer to my face. I look just more tragic. Okay, so Ted, or no, wrong guy. Jim is starting to think he maybe should call Betty, and again, he's getting advice from the wrong person. It's so weird that Ted and Jim only really talk to each other. They like don't talk to Doug or Sarah or Samantha or Paul.
I noticed that too, but you know what? That's kind of realistic. There are definitely some friend groups that have those two guys that only talk to each other.
I don't know if it's true, but I have read that they improvise a lot of their lines, which that seems realistic.
That would make sense. Yep.
And if you think the dance was improvised, obviously,
of course it was, and the dance was just, oh my god, so good. I was laughing my ass off the entire time.
And Ted tells Jim that he shouldn't sleep with the same girl twice. Like, get wrecked, Ted. This is where the group meets the twins, who I believe are local townies, just like the Jarvis family, Terry and Tina. Although Trish doesn't seem to know Terry or Tina, which it seems like they should know each other. How big is Crystal Lake? I'm just going to keep asking that.
Right.
Oh, bothers me. Helicopter budget? Come on. Who do they think they are? So Ted and... Oh, I already addressed that. I'm reading off notes. Can you tell? Sarah decides to go off into the woods alone to get the car. Life advice. If you're in a horror movie, don't be lazy. And obviously don't separate from the group unless you're in a Scooby-Doo movie. And who do you think you are, Sarah? Daphne? You think you're Daphne? You know Daphne.
Nobody's Daphne.
Well, Sarah Michelle Gellar is.
Besides, yeah, obviously.
And I did think we do get a few POV shots, but at this point I'm like, I noticed that if we were in part 1 and 2, this would have been a POV shot of Jason stalking her, but it wasn't. And we do have a few POV shots, but we kind of do away with that by this point in the franchise, which
it is. I noticed that there were a lot less of them in this one. I like the ones that we did get, but yeah, I like the first movie when it was almost all POV shots. That was cool.
So at the lake, at this point, the 7 teenagers go skinny dipping, and Trish and Tommy show up at the lake with Gordon, and poor Tommy sees more than he should. From my understanding, and I don't know what point, but Corey Feldman did end up seeing maybe a lot more than he should have for a child at his age on a film set. So that's not appropriate. But...
By the way, I just want to point something out about him because I know him mostly from The Lost Boys, which I love. And it's funny because these are only 3 years apart. And he has like obviously he makes his voice deeper on purpose in The Lost Boys. Like he's got that Batman voice. Oh, let's go kill some vampires.
He does just have kind of like as an adult, he does have that kind of raspy
voice. But
he
was still a kid in that too, though. Like it was only 3 years after this, and he has a super high voice in this one, like a little kid voice. So I don't know.
12 to 15. When did your voice drop? I don't voice.
I'm just saying, never mind. Just
I mean puberty.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how boys work. I did go to high school with this kid who, I remember when we came back from summer, his voice had dropped. This kid's voice drop, dude, his voice was so low. Like even just his normal speaking voice was like nearly subharmonic. Like he's the deepest voice I've ever heard in my entire life. And I remember he did the news morning announcement things. And one of the teachers thought he was like doing a bit. And like keeping it on purpose, and we had because he got kind of mad. And he's like, no, like that's actually how he sounds. He said something behind me once we were in the hallway. I nearly had a fucking heart attack. I'm like, he sounds like he needs to voice like the devil. Like his voice is just terrifyingly deep. My point was he's smaller than me. He's like 5'6".
Oh my
god,
like
a tiny dude. But he's just
that's
like
funny.
The deepest fucking voice. So strange. Man, puberty's weird. It affects people differently. Anyway, moving on. Tommy sees more than he should. And apparently, so does Gordon. They're too young for this.
Yep.
Yeah. Although I'm assuming Gordon, probably younger than Tommy. But who
knows
how dogs
years,
work?
Yes.
Who knows how dogs work? They got complicated age.
It's supposed to be 7 years for every 1 human year.
That's not quite how that works. But it's more of an average because like dog infancy, it's like faster, and then once they get older, it's like slower.
Oh,
or that might be reversed.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's just
Dog
kind
science.
of when they say 7 years, that's like an averaging.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay, but then Doug like invites Trish to come swimming with them, and it's like, dude, she's literally standing
In front
next
of
to
her
her
brother.
12-year-old brother.
Yep.
What?
Really weird.
What? Like, if I was them, I would be going underwater. Like, get this child away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they're technically all teenagers, but he's clearly like much younger. Like, that's not appropriate. Come on, guys. Doug just seems like he's like delightfully dumb.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like, not like mean-spirited, like Ted.
Right.
And maybe if Ted wasn't in the movie, I'd feel differently about Doug, but Ted is in the movie, so Ted just seems like he's a himbo. I'm sorry, I said Ted that time. Doug. Doug is a himbo for sure. Anyway, so Sarah, I guess sometime came back and is now reading on the dock. And Samantha pulls a trick on her. And I do like, this is really the only trick in the movie. We don't have like an obnoxious jokester like Shelley or any of the other ones in the previous films. This is really the only gag they do, thankfully. And I think it's because they had enough movie and enough characters that they just didn't have time. So it seems more like actual people who are friends with each other.
Yeah. This was not cool though. Like, if someone did this to me as a prank, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah, I don't trust anyone near a pool.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just not safe. People are just, yeah. And especially now, I don't know if people are better or worse now, but I remember when I was a kid, someone threw someone in a pool, but like he had his phone in his pocket. Like, I would have been so mad.
Same. Yeah, that's really not cool.
It's not. Anyway, so Trish and Tommy go home because they can't stay at the lake. It's a not hospitable place for a child. And while they're going home, they have car trouble. And Tommy, again, this little fucking MacGyver, can apparently do anything with any tool. I wonder if Tom Savini's really like that. I feel like he is.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Tom Savini is actually like a stunt actor, and he does plays. Like he's an actor. He's like an actual thespian. He does a lot of like sword stunts and stuff. He's like a really good
cool.
sword
No,
fighter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like a very, very cool guy.
So Tommy Jarvis is basically supposed to be him. It's Tom Savini as a kid, basically.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he's heavily inspired by him.
Yeah.
And here's where we meet Rob Deere, our bland brunette love interest for this film, because we have to have one in every film.
Of course, always have to.
Well, in the Friday the 13th franchise, anyway, always do. He helps fix their car, and they give him a lift. He says he's hunting bears. Which, can you hunt bears?
Yeah.
Tommy says you can't.
Yeah.
He questions this. But then when they get home, Tommy just like takes him up to his room. And I'm like, you're just letting this strange man go up to your child's room, Mommy Jarvis?
Yeah.
The 80s were different.
Very different.
Like, that's just no. But I do, like, Rob seems like a nice guy, but I still wouldn't, like, trust him alone with this 12-year-old.
He's all right.
Weird, like hitchhiking dude, whatever. It's fine. He and Trish kind of flirt around, and we learn more about him later. But I'm just gonna go ahead and explain who he is now.
Yeah.
So he's the brother of Sandra Deere. Did you remember her?
I don't. No.
She was in part 2, which again, keeping in mind, this is only Monday or Tuesday. She was murdered on Friday. Okay, so she gets murdered Friday. He, I assuming, gets contacted Saturday. Now it's like Monday or Tuesday, so he's had a couple days to show up and do all this research on Jason, because apparently they know who killed her already. So good for them, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure I get that. But...
We'll just talk about the news articles now. He has news articles on Jason. Okay. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So he has one that I'm assuming is from 1979 that Alice Hardy had spoken to the reporters, and she had described Jason as a child. In 1979, Jason was a full-grown fucking adult. This was a dream she had.
Right.
She's describing a dream sequence. Why is this included in this nonsense movie?
I have no idea.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. And he has an article that's about the cafe owners, which is, I think cafe is a nice way to describe what Edna and Harold owned in the last movie, who were killed, like, depending if this was Monday or Tuesday, like 2 days ago.
And was that the fish food guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the last movie.
Right.
They were killed at the beginning of the last movie, so Jason could get some clothes. And I get that, they were probably killed on a Sunday. This is Monday or Tuesday. They could have already had a newspaper article about it. Rob's already clipped it out. What's happening? What is this timeline? This is so weird.
What are timelines? I mean,
what is time? It means nothing. It bothers me so much that they had like the child portrait of Jason from Alice's dream sequence, because Jason would have been a 30-something-year-old man in 1979 when that movie takes place.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Very weird.
Very strange. Moving on. So Rob's in town because he's not hunting bears. He's hunting Jason. But how did he already know that Jason was alive still? How did he already know the body went missing? Because that's not reported on. We don't hear any like news articles or the news reporter talking about Jason's body going missing. I wish they would have shown him at the hospital. Because we do see people grieving at the hospital in the beginning when Jason is wheeled in, going to the morgue. And I wish they would have had a shot of Rob in the hospital learning about Sandra's death, and he would have seen Jason escape and known that Axel and the nurse Morgan had been killed. That would have been significantly better. And following him from the start of the movie.
Yeah. That would have made a lot more sense.
More interesting.
Yep.
And listen, I like Jarvis, the Jarvis's family. Actually, that's not true. I fucking hate Trish. She's annoying. But I like Tommy Jarvis.
I like Tommy. Tommy's awesome.
Here's the thing. When we get to the 6th one, when I tell you I fucking love Jason Lives. It's one of my favorite movies.
That's a popular choice for people's favorite in the franchise. So.
And the guy who plays Tommy Jarvis in that one is Tom Matthews, who's probably most well known for being in Return of the Living Dead Part 1 and 2. Have you seen Return of the Living Dead?
Nope.
Ooh, I recommend it. It's a July 4th movie.
I'll put him on the list.
But it's high energy. I think it's one of the best horror comedies ever made because it's absolutely hilarious, but it's also like, if you stop and think about it, it is the most dreadful existential crisis I've ever seen in a film, next to The Truman Show.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes. So anyway, I've completely forgot where I was. Because now I'm thinking about Return of the Living Dead. And do I want a party? Yes, of course I fucking want a party. Come on. What is this? Anyway, so I wish we had more Rob, because I feel like we were robbed of Rob.
It's just so funny. I just want to say it's so funny hearing those words come out of your mouth.
Hush. We're not talking about.
I know I can't help it.
Other podcast co-host.
Yeah, I can't. I never thought that'd be something.
I know like 8 Robs.
Yeah,
Rob is such a popular name. But if you've seen the remake, Jared Padalecki's character is Rob.
Right. Except for there's a difference there.
Focus on him. See, it just makes more sense.
Yep.
More interesting, and invite you into a deeper, connectivity for the films.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake to not bring him in until a third of the way through the movie or whatever that was.
Hey man, when they killed him, they just like, yo, you're dead. Very unceremonious.
Yeah, and that was probably the worst kill in the movie because you couldn't really tell what was going on.
I like that he's just screaming.
Yeah.
And the stuff he's screaming is weird. I mean, I guess, I don't know, he's telling Trish to run. I mean,
right.
Great. He's killing me. Run.
So why did they switch the actors for Tommy? Do you want to talk about that now or no? Or do you want to wait for that?
There's a time jump.
Oh, okay.
So it time jumped 5 years.
Oh, well, there you go.
And in real life, it did not.
Right.
But Corey Feldman is in the... Oh, wait, no. Is he in the beginning of 5 or 6? He might be in the beginning of 6. He does come back to reprise his role of Tommy for a brief few minutes.
Well, is it just like flashbacks though, or is he actually in? Oh, it is. Okay, that's what. Yeah.
But it's not like archive footage. Like he actually came back and shot.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's cool.
But I think that's in 6. Okay. Not 5. But yeah, they did recast him. Now from 5 to 6, when there's only a year difference, it's the actor, I believe his name's Mark Shepard, did not want to come back to do it.
Oh.
And the reason, I don't know. I can tell you. So anyway, moving on from our bland brunette love interest, Rob, who I don't feel like was a himbo. I think he's a pretty capable guy, and I really wish we'd gotten more of him. Anyway. Okay, so we cut back to the teens still partying. Or no, now they are partying. They've started the long party. This party goes on for the entire half of the second act and the entire third act. This is a long-ass night. And Jimmy might be a dead fuck, but I just gotta throw out Crispin Glover. I would love to just see in real life how he dances, like in a normal situation. Well, is any moment in Crispin Glover's life normal?
I doubt it.
You know, he and Nicolas Cage are like really, really good friends.
That makes so much sense, and I absolutely love that.
And I think they're both like really good friends with Jim Carrey, and it's just like I see it. I see it.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
And I like that his dance is really like chaotic and funny. And Terry clearly really appreciates. She's one of the twins. She clearly really, really appreciates it. Has a great sense of humor, and humor I think is a phenomenal way to flirt. Personally,
absolutely, yes.
Meanwhile, Paul. Okay, at first I thought he was being kind of romantic. Puts on a slow dance to dance with Samantha, but that's going to go out the window later in the movie. Yeah. Paul's a little dipshit, and Samantha deserved better. I'm still mad about it.
Agreed.
Ted. He's holding this like plushie, this bear plushie, like stuffed animal. And he asks Tina, and this is so gross, want to give Teddy Bear a kiss. And then just proceeds to start grabbing and kissing her, which clearly she does not want.
And this guy's the worst.
He's awful. Like
I like threw up in my mouth when he said that line. I was like, dude, oh God.
He deserved a slower death.
Agreed. Yes. But at least he died.
And then I wrote in my notes, never mind, fuck Paul. He starts flirting with Tina. Why are you doing that? Until Samantha comes back, then they start kissing. But as soon as Samantha's not, even when she's in the same room, like Paul will be flirting with Tina. And everyone's looking around super uncomfortable. Like, what are you doing? Like, awful dude. So gross. Although I do think it's funny later on when Jim, he ends up sleeping with Tina. They go to Paul's bed. He's like, because Jim knew, like, he's not getting any tonight. Not after how he treated Sam.
And they break it, which was hilarious. Happens like right away too. Yeah,
I've never seen a bed break in real life. Like,
nope.
They must have unscrewed it so it would.
Yeah, and it happens like right away too. That was funny.
Like that is the weakest, saddest bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it that's your bed situation. It's wood frame. Like, you should probably check for termites. Like
and I love how they just laugh real quick and then just go back at it like they don't care.
Yeah, and when we see them in bed later, I don't think the bed was broken. Like, it wasn't.
No, it looked fine.
Yeah.
It was still a funny scene.
Maybe they fixed it. Like, it's not like you can't just go in and, like, manually screw the bolts back in or something.
Right.
I don't know. I built a lot of beds in my life, so... Anyway.
By the way, there was I don't know which characters it was, but there was a funny line. I think it was Samantha saying it to Paul. Yeah. And she was like, he's like, where are you going? She's like, I tell you where I'm going. Crazy. Was it those two or was it two different characters?
I don't remember it.
You don't remember? I remember laughing at that line. Maybe I don't know. But
I mean, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I say a variation of that sometimes. People, when they ask where you going, I'm like, crazy, you want to come? I didn't invent it. I got it from my parents, but yeah, I got a good laugh out of that one. You don't remember that line?
No, didn't get
I'm pretty sure it was Samantha, but I'm not positive.
I think if you like that line, you'd really like the movie Arsenic and Old Lace.
What the hell is that?
It's a Cary Grant film. It's really funny. I think it's based on a play.
Oh, okay.
But it's very, very funny. Anyways, so you know, Ted and Jimmy talk again. Jimmy, stop going to Ted, but Jimmy's like clearly at this point kind of over Ted. And for one of this part, I didn't like that Jimmy kind of whines that Ted is getting the hotter of the two of the identical twins.
Right. What was that?
And then Ted is making fun of Jimmy, calling him a dead fuck. And he like puts his hand through his like
fly.
Yeah. I was like, I don't wear jeans. I don't know what these like the zipper of his pants. Yeah. To like mimic being limp, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
This fucking guy, man.
And I don't know which of the twins, this was Terry or Tina, but she sees and she is unamused. Girl, same. But at this point, I do want to point out that Ted is fucking around with the corkscrew, and this comes back later.
Yes.
Were you saying something?
Are those actresses twins in real life, or is it just two? Like, what's the deal there?
Yeah, they're twins.
Oh, they are? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, they've done some stuff together.
I've never seen them anything else. Just curious.
They've done some stuff apart. But this was definitely the most memorable for me. I think one of them was in like General Hospital for quite a while.
Oh, never watched that. So
yeah, I didn't either.
I did get them confused in the movie sometimes.
So. I was pretty good. This is the only part where I'm like, I don't know which one this is. I think it's Carrie though, because I think Tina would have laughed it off, and she's more confident. And I feel like Terry seems a little bit more shy. So I think she would have been a little bit more offended by it.
Terry was the one that Jimmy was dancing with first, right? And then Tina's the one he ended up with?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. All right. So we go back to the party. More things ensue. Tina's flirting very openly with Paul, which Samantha's unamused, which same. Everyone's really uncomfortable. Sam decides to leave the party and go skinny dipping. That's a red flag of you dead, girl.
What is up with people going skinny dipping alone at night in these movies? Like, come on.
Ever do that?
No one.
Literally, no human being has ever done that.
Right.
So strange. I don't know why movies keep propagating this, but actually, that's not true. I can tell you exactly why. We want the obligate, as Randy Meeks, our horror movie lord, would say. You got to have the obligatory tit shot.
Yes.
But I'll talk about this now. When Sam goes out, she's in the water and she ends up getting into this little like raft, like floaty raft thing. I don't know what they're called. I was really struggling.
Raft, yeah.
It's like one of those it's a little blow up boat. Mm-hmm. And so apparently the water was like really, really cold. It was very cold outside. This scene took a very long time. And this is one of the times I was talking about where, and you hear this in interviews a lot of people talk about this, where Ted Knight really put his foot down. He's like, you need to make sure she's getting out of the water and warming up between scenes. And she did actually end up catching like hypothermia or something.
Oh boy.
But he was so upset by the way she was being treated and just being out there underwater in this like freezing water that he refused. He's like, I'll walk off set. He threatened to leave the set if they didn't treat her better.
Wow.
Which I really like.
Yeah, what a guy. That's awesome.
And there's gonna be another time where he's I'll just go ahead and say when Doug dies. It's in the shower. The actor Peter Barton had gotten hurt doing a stunt on a previous film, and I'm not sure. I think his previous film was Hell Night, but I'm not sure if that's it. Okay. I do know he did get hurt in that scene when he's like he takes a really long tumble down the stairs, and I think he did end up getting hurt. So he was like really kind of like nervous about it. So from what I've heard and read on the IMDb and some from interviews and stuff, that he really like took the time to reassure him and had them put a pad behind his head so that when he hit it, he knew that he would be hitting a pad and not the actual shower, and just to like ease his concerns and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. So.
Was this the only movie that he played Jason?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he was already like 54 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he was much older.
Can't do it much longer.
And I think he was like, he had done stunts for like John Wayne and stuff.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah. Like when I say veteran, I mean veteran. Okay. So moving on. I was really sad about Samantha's death. I'm being honest. Like she definitely didn't deserve to die. I found her really likable.
I agree. And she was cool.
She spent her last moments like calling out for Paul, thinking that he was gonna come after her. And he did, but like not before like making out with Tina. Like, fuck you, Paul. Like when he died, Paul. I'm like, you deserve it. It was pretty brutal. Her death is another. Jason pops out of nowhere very abruptly, grabs her head, and I'm not sure what I couldn't tell, but he stabs her with something. And it goes through her. We see it go through her back.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. And
then when he kills Paul, he like I don't even know what happens. It's like a spear through the groin, and then he shoots him with some kind of like little like it's not a gun, but it looks like a gun, but it shoots out this kind of like arrow thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. Again, a lot of the kills, like what Jason is doing, is kind of dark. This movie was not necessarily well lit when it isn't, but when it is well lit, it is. I don't know if that makes sense because there's later on, when they're outside, particularly around Rob's tent, there's this blue light, and that looks great. I thought, like, I really, really love the blue light they have going on. But when it's out here, it's not well lit, and there's a lot of things because they are having these kills go so fast because they really want an R rating, specifically because there's a kill they have later on that they want to have as long and gory as possible. So they made all the other ones short and abrupt as possible.
Oh,
so
interesting.
long one in.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know which one it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. But this Paul kill was just the concept of it was gnarly, like getting stabbed in the dick. I was like, God. I mean, the guy was an asshole, but I don't know if anyone deserves that.
I mean, he didn't have to deserve it for long.
Right.
I've seen worse in movies. Oh, all of those cannibal Italian films.
I don't want to know.
I've seen. Oh, I can't remember Before the Dawn Breaks. It's I think it's a German. I'm gonna call it a psychedelic movie where this vampire. I don't even know what words I'm allowed to use on these services that I'm talking on. But
yeah, be careful.
Just say she grabs an appendage, and you see the entire thing in just fully being ripped off.
Oh, good
but
Lord.
He's an asshole, so you're kind of like, get it. But then it turns out it's all, you find out that you're in a movie. So that you know, like, even in the movie, it was an effect. Which was, like, really cool. It's very Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Okay.
I said it's a psychedelic movie. I think it's inspired by Alice in Wonderland. It's like openly. So it's a weird, trippy time loop. We're in a movie, making a movie, but also what the fuck? But we're in a time loop. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it's about. I can just tell you the events that occur on screen.
Okay.
But it's a great looking movie. Like it's specifically shot to look like a late 60s, early 70s movie. It's very, very pretty.
Well, I think I'll pass on that though.
Yeah, definitely not for you. But for anyone out there, Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes. It's a very good, like, German horror movie. I would recommend it. I liked it. I don't know. If you like weird, it's probably a movie for you. Again, I don't think I spoiled anything because I can't even tell you exactly what was going on. I was very confused. In fact, if someone could explain it to me, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, I'm lost right now. Okay, so Rob hears Paul screaming when he's getting killed and goes to check things out with a machete, which I think it's funny because Jason is so well known for using machete. However, I don't think he used one once in this movie.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
And then he comes back. No,
did he use it in the other two?
At least once.
Okay.
But he's really well known for using machete, but actually he doesn't really use it that
I feel like he hasn't used it much. So
he uses what's around.
Right.
And speaking of what's around, Rob comes back to find that his gun has been broken in half, which is strange. And I think it's kind of cool that we see a like marked difference in Jason's behavior in this movie compared to like the second one, where Jason seemed like an actual person who was kind of afraid of being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's like backing away from the chainsaw in part 2 and he's kind of stumbling over chairs. In this movie, yeah, none of that's happening at all. Jason is a fast zombie and he will fuck you up and he doesn't care if he gets hurt.
I like the fast zombie better. So, and Jason did that, right? I assume he destroyed the guy's guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that was smart because guns would definitely be a real threat to him. So
maybe, yeah.
you would think, right?
I'll go ahead and say now that it is canon. Tommy did kill Jason. That did happen. And that's not going to be retconned.
Okay. That's all you're going to say for now?
Yeah. Well, we got to get to Jason Lives.
Yeah, all right. That's fine.
But I just wanted to let you know now, that's not something that's going to get retconned or
Okay.
like changed. It is a canonical fact. Jason did die.
Okay.
All right. Moving right along. Terry decides she's had enough of Ted. Girl, same. So she leaves. Sadly, she goes out into a thunderstorm, and we all know what happens when people go out into thunderstorms at Crystal Lake.
Yep.
They get got.
Yep.
I don't know if I like her death scene or not. So we get a lightning strike, and in that moment, we see the shadow reflected against the wall of the house of Jason stabbing Tina, and then he throws her body so hard that whatever he stabbed her with and her body just like stick to the side of the house.
That made me think of the kill in the first Halloween.
Yes.
Where he sticks the guy to the wall. But
R.I.P.
yeah, it was
Bob.
all right. Yep.
I mean, Bob, I think, at least we got to see Bob's like feet kind of lowering, and there was and Michael's head tilt, and
the head tilt is legendary.
Yes, there is a sustained moment of lingering on the death that we don't get in any of these. This is
right.
Fast. We don't got time for this, which is unfortunate. I like Terry more than Tina, but neither of them deserve to die. I like these characters too much, except for Ted. Fuck Ted and Paul. I was happy when they died. You can say that in a horror movie. It's cathartic.
Yes, absolutely.
So then we get to Sarah and Doug going upstairs, and we already talked about their line about the top and bottom bunks, which is cute.
Great line. Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Tom over at the Jarvis house, that's when Mommy gets killed. Maybe.
Apparently, yeah. We never see it, so
I counted her death.
Yeah, you probably did.
So yeah, Trish and Tommy come home and find the power's out, and Trish goes to look for Rob in the tent, and that's where we get all the stuff about the newspaper articles, and he's there because of his sister and all that stuff we already discussed. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but I like it. The thing is, like, it works because the characters are likable. So you're just like, logic who? We're unhinged. I do like that post-coitus, Jimmy asks Tina if he's a dead fuck. And I'm like, Jimmy, if you have to ask.
Yeah.
You were. Like, you would know if you weren't.
But apparently he was great. So that's what she said.
You have to ask. Maybe Tina's nicer than I thought she was. But I do like that later that, like, Tina notices that Terry's bicycle is still outside because they came on their bikes. And she seems like really concerned. And that's when Jason shows up and like throws her through a second story. It's a second floor window. She lands in the car. The car's glass explodes out and she's dead, which is going to be problematic later when Trish jumps out a higher window, lands on the ground, and is totally fine.
Yep.
I don't understand why she's dead. Tina should not have died from that. Be hurt, yeah, but dead, no. You could totally live through that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you land in the wrong, that is one of those things where it's like there's so many things where you can like do and survive, but if it's like just landing on something the wrong way or like a centimeter over or whatever, and you're gone. It like humans are so weird. It's like
they really are.
We can withstand so much, but also the smallest change and we're totally dead.
Yep.
I like that they brought Rob. I like that Rob has this like connection, but it's so weird to me that Trish is like, but Jason's dead. Like, how do you already know that? How is this already out there? I have so many questions. And I'm a little disappointed when they kind of go back to the house. Like, Tommy Jarvis is set up as being such a little MacGyver.
Yeah.
But, like, how he kills Jason is so stupid.
It was very odd.
It was so dumb and weird. Because I understand it's supposed to be a recreation of what happened in the first movie where Alice is pretending to be Mrs. Jarvis. But like
Mrs.
Tommy
Wait.
shaving his head and saying "Remember me," like what?
You mean Mrs. Voorhees?
Oh, I said Mrs. Jarvis. Yes,
Yeah.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
2 + 2 is 2. Sometimes you just copy. Whatever, it's fine.
Shit happens.
Copy and paste. It fucks you up sometimes. Anyway, so it just didn't make sense to me, and I would have liked it better if Tommy Jarvis like MacGyvered some weapon, Home Alone style, and killed Jason. I think that just would have been better.
That would have been cool, and I was really confused at first as to what he was even doing. I'm like, why does he bother cutting his hair right now? Is this really a top priority? And then once he comes down, it's like he's trying to remind Jason of himself. So yeah, it didn't quite work for me.
Strange. It's so strange. Like, do you think Jason's a vampire? Like, he has a reflection. It's fine.
Yeah.
Poor Ted is killed. Huzzah. He gets like knifed in the back of the head he's watching old, videos on a screen.
Yeah.
And so it's like through the screen, he's stabbed in the back of the head. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, that was a cool kill.
Killed. I just think it's so funny the way Crispin Glover speaks. Like, Dad. It's very California. You could tell. I don't know that he is, but I bet he's from Orange County. He just sounds like someone from Orange County. And he gets a corkscrew through the hand. He doesn't even have time to scream. He like turns and immediately has. Again, I don't know what this is called. I'm gonna call it a meat cleaver.
Sure.
One day I'll actually look it up and see if that is what a meat cleaver looks like. This is just what I assume. It's a big, thick knife.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Imagine a square, but it's a knife. And it goes through his head. It's a very good shot.
Great
it's
effects.
Very swift. Yes, very fast, very swift, but it's very well lit. We see the whole thing. I don't know when Jason found the time to crucify Jimmy. He like sticks him outside and like nails his hands to the walls in front of a door. I have many follow-up questions regarding this.
I mean, we already know that Jason defies time in these movies, so
it's
just
not how. It's
have to get past that. Yeah.
Why did Jason do that? Why? Right. Why is he doing that?
I did think it was cool when he kind of rips him off, though. I thought that was cool.
Then why put him up to begin with?
I don't know.
Why are you blocking the door? What are you doing? Jason, you need a therapist. No, you need a psychiatrist. You need the kind that can give you drugs. Like that's like that. Like anyone's thinking otherwise. Like I don't think the serial killer needs a psychiatrist. Like why would he need a psychiatrist? Obviously, he needs much psychological help. But I mean, he's going to get killed, so I don't think there's any saving him after that.
Right.
You can't reason with a zombie, from my understanding of zombies. That made sense. I'm moving on. Doug and Sarah are taking a shower together. I think they're so cute.
Me too. Like I like them a lot.
Doug says he thinks he's in heaven, and she says she thinks she's in love. It's very sweet. Yeah. Very high school. Yep. 17, 18, 19-year-olds. It's adorable. She goes back to the room in a towel. Meanwhile, Doug is singing in the shower, and I already kind of explained like the Ted White of the situation there. Yep. But it's a really good head crush, and we've seen Jason do a head crush in the previous film with that bastard Rick. And I feel like Tom Savini said, I saw what you did in that one. Now let me cook. I'm going to show you what a real head crush looks like.
Rick was the one with the really bad eye popping out effects, right? Yeah. This one was way better. This was a really good kill. And
I don't know if they actually did a sculpture or they just had like, because it's so fast, it's hard to tell, and I didn't slow it down. So I maybe it might just be that there was a padding behind them, so it looked like that wasn't his actual head and that was his actual head. But whatever they did, it looked very good.
It looked great.
Yes. And somehow Sandra was able to hear Doug singing, but she didn't hear Jason breaking the glass window of the shower and it shattering and Doug being killed. Okay, we'll move on. So honestly, I feel like she would have been a great final girl, but unfortunately, they decided they wanted Trish to be the final girl. When Trish,
I was kind of hoping that it would be Sarah instead of Trish. That would be much better, but they didn't do that. So
no, they did not, which is unfortunate. So she's also killed, which her death was very strange. Jason throws an axe through a solid wood door. The axe in its entirety goes through the door and embeds itself into Sarah, killing her. That's, I mean, it looked cool, but it is the most ridiculous death scene.
There's no chance that would work that way.
No, that axe would, I mean, it would go into the door and then stop. It would go through a door, but I love it. Like, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how they, like, did they, like, cut out the hole for the axe and then, like, in a swift cut? Like, the editing in this movie is really tight.
It's
like,
phenomenal. You don't notice the trickery really at all.
You don't. And that's really the combination of Tom Savini and the editor. Like, phenomenal work, guys. All right, so Tommy back at the driver's house has the lights on. Trish and Rob come home. I don't know. Rob broke a window. I forgot about that one. Another fucking window break.
Oh, yeah.
Unnecessary. Trish, do you not know how to get into your house? Keys. What's happening? Anyway, although I guess she does say that Tommy never locks the door, but, like, do you not? I don't know. We'll move on. Jason cuts the phone lines. I'm sorry. We see a lot of, like, close-ups of Jason's hand in this movie. His nails are black.
Yeah.
What happened here?
Disgusting.
What vitamin are you not getting?
Mm-hmm.
What went on? Anyway, so then Rob and Trish decide to go next door and leave Tommy alone. He's 12. There's a serial killer. The phone line was cut. What?
Why would you leave this little kid alone? That is a very, very irresponsible
Gordon goes
choice.
with them. That's when he jumps out through the window. But I just, whatever. Rob goes into a basement and dies. And then we get it's a trope in horror movies when the girl walks into the house and then starts finding all of the bodies. It's the whole thing. You don't need to do it every single movie. It's fine. And this is, cutting back is when Tommy's cutting his hair. Trish runs back to their house. And also, like, where's all the blood in the movie? It's fine. We'll move on. Yeah, so Trish gets back home. Tommy's cut his hair. He somehow tricks Jason into looking. I don't know what's happening.
We already talked about it. We don't really like that.
Trish, in all her infinite wisdom and great skills, uses the machete to cut Jason's mask off, which also becomes a trope in, like, the end scene. His mask comes off. It's a whole thing. Tommy ends up getting the machete, and he embeds the machete, like, halfway through Jason's head, and then Jason falls, and it, like, cuts further into his head. And that's the thing they wanted to hold on, and they didn't want to stay away from. They wanted to show us the whole thing. Although he doesn't bleed, I'm pretty sure there should be some blood there, but
should be. That was cool, though. That was a really, really good effect. I love that so much. And this is also my favorite look of Jason without the mask so far.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Savini really wanted to look like, this is what I did to him as a kid. This is what he should look like now.
Right.
I mean, after seeing the guy in 2, I'd want to come back and
God, that part 2 one was terrible. Yeah. This one looks so much better.
Let me show you how a master does it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know. Then the siblings hug, and then Tommy sees Jason's hand twitch, so he just goes total ape shit and just grabs a machete, just starting die. I thought Goonies never said die. But just keeps screaming die. And then we cut to the hospital. And Trish is fine. She needs some shoulder surgery. And then Tommy comes in and they hug. And he looks into the camera and it's just giving very Halloween 4. Maybe he'll be the killer in the next movie. He's not.
What? He's not?
No.
I knew that.
And I guess the mom died off screen. And that gives us a total kill count for this movie of 13. And for all of 1984, Jason has a total kill count of 34. And then he had one additional kill in 1979. So Jason so far has a total kill count altogether of 35.
It's pretty impressive.
We have 34 kills in the span of like a Friday to Tuesday. These cops are unfazed, give no fucks. Anyway, that concludes our long week of Camp Blood. Very long week.
Yeah.
But only for us. It was a very short, uneventful week for the Crystal Lake PD.
Right. They didn't do shit.
They did not. And you think like the mortician would be more busy. Like only Axel was working there. They're working overtime. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Wexus County or whatever it is, do better. You have a helicopter budget. Do better. Okay, so yeah, that concludes this particular film. It's definitely a highlight in the series, although I like 6. I think I go 6, 4, 5, 2, 1, X, 7, 3. Ooh, hard. Yeah, I'd have to think about it, but I think that's about right.
You like 5 that much?
I know most people don't, but I really, really, really do.
Huh. Now I'm really interested to see how
Maybe
I
it's
feel about it.
nostalgia glasses, but that's
Yeah.
just and we'll talk about it when we watch that one. But
Right.
I just have like a deep affinity for it. And there are definitely things where there's kind of a Ted moment where, you know, when I was watching it as a kid, there was a character I liked, and then I realized, oh, he's totally an incel. I don't like him anymore.
Oh,
So
unfortunate.
it's one of those things that you can watch as a kid and not notice, but when you get to like your teens, you're like, oh, that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I still felt kind of bad for him. I felt really bad for a lot of the people in that movie. Like, I don't think any of them deserved to die. Like, the characters were just far too likable. And it has another character who's in Return of the Living Dead, and he's very
cool.
famous for saying in the Friday the 13th movie, those damn enchiladas. When you hear it, you'll be like, oh, I see why people quote this.
I do know that line. I've heard it
Very
all the time.
Yes, it's a very phenomenal line reading. Like there's some line readings that are like, that is perfection. You outdid yourself, and that's one of those times. So how are you on ranking these so far? This was
of just these 4 that we've watched and talked about so far.
Yeah,
I would go 4, 3, 1, 2.
Fair.
What about you?
4, 3, 1, 2. I think it's the same.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I like the Higgins Haven a lot more than a lot of people. I really like 2. I really like 1. You know, not a bad one in the batch so far.
Mm-hmm. We'll get there though, I imagine.
I mean, Jason Goes to Hell is just we're all going to hell on that one.
That's what I've heard. I'm dreading that.
Okay.
What number is that? I'm sorry. What number is that in the franchise?
9.
9. Okay.
Yes. And then I'm still deciding. I think we should do Freddy versus Jason and then Jason X.
Okay.
Just for chronological sake.
Sounds good.
It'll be more fun. Okay. Tell the people where they can find you, Curt.
You can find me on all of these socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, at Curt Hagens, CurtHagens. And I did a primer video. I'm going to probably do another primer video that's more spoilery, and also a video about the Star Wars prequels and why I'm a bigger fan of them than most people. So you're a big
lunatic.
One.
You're a damn lunatic.
Why?
Good. I would never talk about Star Wars.
Well,
I have. Thankfully,
I'm putting a ton of work into that one. So coming soon.
Good luck. Yeah. I'll have all Curt and my stuff linked below that you can find us in the description for this. Have a great day. Thank you for listening, and stay with the rainbows.